The summer of 2016 was a simpler time. A time when, for just a little bit, everyone was enjoying the same thing all together. It was what I like to think of as the summer of Pokemon Go. Julian and I, being lifelong Pokemon fans, have been playing since the day the game was released. Actually, I think I may have started on the day after it was released, but at this point, that's really not much different. So, as is the case with much of what we've talked about on this blog, we've got a fair bit of history with it. The early days of the game were, well, frankly, they were kind of a mess. Niantic, the company behind the game, didn't foresee the explosive popularity that would come with the game's release, and their servers were ill-equipped, to put it lightly, for how much data they needed to process. This resulted in long loading times to even play the game, as well as frequent freezing and crashing. Given we're still playing today, I suppose this didn't dampen our enjoyment too much, but it was definitely frustrating. In fact, my earliest memory of the legendary raid mechanic is of my game crashing and not letting me participate while Julian and a couple of our friends were all able to. I'm still a little bitter about it, to be honest. Nowadays, issues like these have become blessedly rare, at least on this side of the world. Sorry, Australia and New Zealand. So it's much easier to just enjoy the game, which we do, quite a bit. In fact, we've gone so far as to plan outings around things we want to do in the game. Yeah, we're those kind of players. After all, we did grow up during the height of the Pokemon craze. I still have my original copy of Pokemon Yellow and actually went through the trouble of having the internal battery replaced. The same is true of my copies of Crystal version and Ruby version, in fact. I saw the original movie in the theater, and somewhere I still have my promotional trading card from it. It was certainly a common interest in high school as well. Many lunches, free periods, and post-dismissal gatherings were spent playing Pokemon games. The real marker of how Pokemon crazy I once was is probably the fact that one youthful Halloween, I dressed as Ash, the main character of the anime, complete with badges and green fingerless gloves. No, I will not be providing photographic evidence. That love of, and history with the franchise, leaves me torn on the current state of the game's players. When once there were throngs of people playing Pokemon Go everywhere, now you might notice only a few outside of big events like GoFest. The game is still thriving, but the near universal popularity has faded. On the one hand, that's good for the more dedicated players, especially in a world where COVID and now monkeypox and polio are risks. There are fewer crowds around areas we need to go to, which means fewer people for us to deal with, as well as less demand on the game's servers and the cell networks. It makes it much easier for dedicated players like us. But it also means some of the magic of 2016 is lost. It's been ages since we found ourselves among a group of people buzzing with excitement at the prospect of catching the latest legendary and comparing collections of rare Pokemon. It's been a few years since I last swapped friend codes with a random stranger on the street. I don't even remember the last time we found ourselves sharing those moments of collective anticipation of dozens of people we'd never seen before and would likely never see again, unless we shell out a lot of money to travel to an in-person event. There are some things that, despite how they may seem, are ultimately just moments in time and not forever. And while I'm sure the game will be around for a long time to come, and as long as it's around, we'll keep playing it, that incredible popularity seems to have ended. It's a bit sad, if I'm honest, but I'm glad we were there for it. That summer was one for the history books, and no amount of waning enthusiasm can take those memories away.